You might think that choosing the correct size shoe is a really easy thing that everybody knows how to do. Well, you'd be wrong. The wrong size or type of shoe can create all sorts of problems. Clunky, heavy school shoes that usually come with a chunky heel push your body weight forward. And what that does is it encourages the superficial muscles in your shin to try and be more active. So you'll see more tendon gripping in people's feet. And this actually stops your arch muscles from contributing as much as they should. And then your arch muscles get weaker. And then over time, we see that your foot mechanics deteriorate. A shoe that is too tight across the middle compresses your foot. Ideally, the bones in your feet should have space and you have nerves coming down in between them. The more compressed your foot becomes, the more irritated these nerves become, the more their movement is restricted and the more pain you will experience in your feet. Shoes that aren't long enough compress your foot this way. And just as equally as a shoe that is too tight across here, that can contribute to bunions. So if you don't want bunions, make sure your shoe is the right size. The other thing that happens if your shoe is not long enough, so there's not enough space for your toes, is that your foot actually physically shortens. Now your foot should have the ability to lengthen and shorten, and that helps it do different movements. It helps it adapt to different ground surfaces. And if your foot is always stuck in this position because it's shortened, because your shoe is too small, then your foot doesn't have the ability to adapt as effectively, and that can really significantly impact your knees, and it can also impact the position of your hips. And then what happens from there is your glutes don't turn on as effectively, and hey presto, you start getting back pain. People are often really surprised that their foot is contributing to their back pain, and it's really a very direct path for that to happen. If your foot is compressed in any way and your arch muscles aren't able to work as effectively, the foot can pronate, so it can rotate in. Whether that's what all the bones are doing is another story for another day. But if that foot rolls in, then you get a rotation at your knee, you get extra tone in your inner thigh muscles, so they get tighter, and that can lead to pelvic floor dysfunction. The other thing that happens when your inner thigh gets really tight is it pulls your hip forward in the joint. So if your joint is no longer sitting in the middle of the joint, then you can wear through the cartilage in the hip, but you also put extra pressure on the lower back, and as I said before, it makes it really hard for the glutes to turn on and support that area. So the point is that the wrong shoe will mess up your foot really quickly, and that will in turn mess up the rest of your body. So how do you tell that you've got the right shoe? Well, I suggest you start by tracing an outline of your foot onto a piece of paper. Then take your shoe and place it over the top of that drawing. If the shoe doesn't entirely cover your foot outline, it's too small. So when you're checking the size of the shoe, you need to make sure there's enough space in there for your foot. What you need to do is check it in standing. Don't check it sitting down, and don't scuff your foot to the back of the shoe. Once you're standing, you need to be able to fit a finger down the back and a finger between the tip of your toe and the end of the shoe, all at the same time. If there's not enough space for you to have both of those at the same time, then the shoe is too small. Your toe should never ever touch the end of the shoe. Never. Even when you're walking downhill and your foot slides forward in the shoe, your toe still shouldn't touch the end of your shoe. So when you're in the shoe, you're standing up, your foot's nice and relaxed, you need to be able to fit a finger down the back and a finger, or preferably a thumb, between the tip of the toe and the end of the shoe, all at the same time. You also need to look at the height of the sole. As we talked about with clunky school shoes, the thicker the heel, the more it pushes your body forward onto your toes. About 2/3 of your weight should be on your heel. So the more your body goes forward, the more that can upset the alignment of the rest of your body. It's really common then that people throw their hips forward, and once again, we end up at back pain. So make sure that the thickness of the heel is about the same as the thickness at the ball of the foot. It is very tricky to find a shoe that is the same sole width throughout, but just do the best you can. You want to try and make sure they're as close as possible. The other thing that is a really common problem that we see with shoes is that they don't move. You need to buy a shoe that moves. If it doesn't move properly and you can't twist it and bend it, then it's not allowing your foot to go through its normal motion as you walk. If you have a look at most sneakers when you're going to buy them, if you try and bend them, you'd be lucky to bend the tip of your toe. And that just puts so much extra stress on your toe and on your feet. You need to have a mobile shoe. If you have any questions about this video, don't forget to drop a comment below and we will get back to you as soon as we can. If you would like to book in to see one of our physios, you can do that online anytime via our website, which is sydneyadvancedphysio.com.au. You can also call the clinic on 9416 4410.